I think it's really important to for using any tool that you're going to any effect or plugin that you're going to stick on your channel or your bus. You need to know not only how to use it, but why you're using it.
What's up, producers? My name's Sam Matler, and this is the EDM Prodcast, a show where I interview successful electronic music producers, engineers, and key people in the industry to help you make better music. This is episode 21 with Noah Neiman. Noah is a well-known producer who's released tracks on standout labels like Enhanced and Armada. He's also collaborated with some incredible vocalists and shares some great advice for producers of all levels in this episode. Before I started this interview, I mistakenly assumed that Noah was doing this full time. Why? Because he releases music at an insane rate and also plays shows. But it turns out he's also a doctor. So if you struggle to find time to produce, maybe because you have a full-time job, then you'll get a lot of value out of this episode. We talk about how he sets up routines to produce faster and more efficiently, how he approaches each new track, why producers shouldn't invest in hardware, and why keeping your day job can actually be a good idea. So it might be a bit controversial, but look, controversy is always good. It's an amazing episode, and the last 20 minutes or so are intense, so make sure to listen the whole way through. Without further ado, here is Noah Neiman. This episode is brought to you by EDM Foundations. EDM Foundations is my course for new producers, those who've been producing for under 12 months, or even those who've just started. The whole idea of the EDM Foundations course is that you learn the fundamentals of music production by actually doing and not just learning the theoretical stuff. The course consists of over 12 hours worth of streamable video, where I walk you through the creation of 3 songs and give you advice and tips for working on your own original alongside them. We've had over 500 people sign up for this course. Many of them have had great results. If you want to learn more about the course, head over to edmfoundations.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the EDM Prodcast. I'm Sam Matler, and today I'm with Noah Neiman. Noah, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. I want to take it back to the start. How did you get into music initially, and what's the journey been like so far?
So, man, music has been a part of my life. I can't remember a time in my life when music was not. And I mean that seriously. Like my dad put me into piano lessons when I was 4 years old. And I remember not liking it at all, because when you start off with any sort of instrument, really, you're learning the basics, and especially at that age, it's not the kind of thing where you're wanting to sit down and learn all the rules and like what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, and you just want to like if you're gonna play the piano, you're just gonna bang on the keys, Mm-hmm. But he put me in piano lessons at a really young age, and I guess it sort of just kind of captured my attention because he was such a huge piano fiend. Like my father was born in Iran, and he went to medical school there. And when he was in medical school, he had a summer vacation, and he literally rebuilt a piano that was almost cut in half. Wow. It was sitting in his grandfather's attic. Well, they got it up in the attic, but it was like there was like water that had like leaked from the roof onto it, and so it had rotted and stuff. And so he like restrung it and then taught himself how to play. Wow! And so now he's a phenomenal. He could obviously he's a physician now, but he could go on like tour as a pianist and like as a concert pianist and be like rocking it.
Wow.
So it's always been like a very musical house when I was growing up. My sister was into music too. She's a year and a half younger than me. But she got into piano at the same time that I did. So even younger, almost about 3. So there's always music playing in my house. I got into violin and trombone as well during middle school. And I guess, it just getting into it at such a young age, it really just kind of got part of my, like, I guess my creative side of my mind working. And it sort of injected music into me, really early. So I don't really know what life is like without music in it,
Yeah.
And then I guess as far as getting into electronic music, I tell this story and people laugh because it's funny. But I was literally at a bar mitzvah, and I heard 2 Unlimited. What was this in Twilight Zone? That yeah, and oh man, because I had heard some songs, like I heard I grew up listening to like Cyndi Lauper and like Flock of Seagulls and that kind of stuff. So they had some cool synthy sounds in there. But I don't know. I guess like that sort of like repetitious melody and the sounds that they were using, I was just like, oh my God, I've never heard anything like this. Like what even makes that sound? And so I got really interested in. I must have been like 10 or something like that.
10.
yeah, it was really early. And I was born in 1981, so it was like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to that kind of stuff, and it snowballed. And then finally, when I got into college, I guess I could take it back a little earlier. I don't know if you even played this game, but it was for Super Nintendo, and it was called Mario Paint.
No.
Okay, so it's this game. It came with a mouse for the Super Nintendo, and you could it was basically like an early version of a DAW. So they called it Mario Paints because the main feature of it was you could draw pictures and stuff with the mouse, but they gave you this little rudimentary MIDI composer thing, and you could use sounds like the Yoshi sound, or the sound when Mario grabs a mushroom or something. And you could chop those sounds up and create beats and a melody and stuff. And so I tried to replicate the 2 Unlimited Twilight Zone song in Mario Paint with Yoshi sounds and Mario sounds. But I guess that really kind of was like, oh my God, you can actually make music like this. This is really cool. So that, and then I just started kind of buying up random really early DAWs. There was one called Sony Acid Music 2.0.
Yeah.
You heard of that? Okay,
I have heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't even know what Acid Music 1.0 was. That must have been really crappy, because 2.0 was I mean, for the time it was great, but you really couldn't do much with it. But it kept on going, and I kept on getting new kinds of software, and eventually, I ended up where I'm at with Ableton Live.
Ableton. So was there a moment, I'm curious, was there a moment where, you'd been making music, you'd grown up in a musical household. Was there a moment where you thought, I want to do this full time? Or I'm going to do this full time?
Well, to be honest, I am not doing it full time.
You aren't?
No. So it may seem like that because I don't mean to I don't mean to toot my own horn here, I guess you should say, but
sure.
I guess I put in as much work, at least in terms of production, I put in as much work as someone might think a full-time producer puts in, because I do come out with a good amount of material every year. But I think it's because I just have a lot of routines set in place.
Right. Yeah.
And so writing music is very streamlined for me. And I think you have to set it up that way, that, to be successful. But no, I'm actually a doctor. as well.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
I just got home from my
I
clinic.
never knew. I just assumed because you're obviously super productive. Because I just assumed you were doing it full time because you come out with so much music and you're playing gigs. That's insane.
Yeah. So it's funny. Yeah. People assume that. I mean, I tell them that I'm a doctor, and it blows their mind because, both like being a doctor and being a musician are full-time jobs, and they take up more than half of the day. But like I said, if you set up routines for yourself, set up kind of techniques that help you save time in the studio or save time, in any part of your day, really, in any part of your life, you can be extremely, extremely productive with a very limited amount of time. I'm an eye doctor. I'm an optometrist. I treat patients from 7:45 to about 3:30 in the day. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes there are like lulls in the day where I guess either patients, no show on me or it's a really simple case and it doesn't take very long for me to treat the patient. And then I've got, 20, 30 minutes between that patient and the next patient that's going to show up. So I'll actually sit in my office and I'll have my headphones in and I'll actually be writing tunes during the day. But again, having these routines, and we can get into them.
I really want to dive into those because it's something I'm super curious about. Like I love studying creativity, studying productivity. Like I love that stuff. So what do you mean by routines? Like what do you personally set up?
So you basically, and I feel like you almost have to do this as everybody. If you're not doing this, like do it. But okay, so say you've written an awesome song, and it's all done. The mastering's there, the mix is done. You've released that track and it's great. Once you get to that point, in your ability to write, like produce a track, you don't have to start from scratch with the next song, just open that project back up and look at what you like. Like, I like the way that kick sounds with that bass, or I like, what those synths are doing here, or that fill that I did, or whatever. And just use that as sort of like a jumping point for your next track. So you can, obviously you're going to want to change stuff up because you're not going to want everything to sound the same. But like, let's see, I used, I think I used the same project file for the next 3 tracks that are coming out. Like I've got tracks waiting in the wings right now. But the next 3 tracks that I've written were all using the same project file, and they don't sound anything like each other. But like they were all like, they all stemmed from the same, file. And you can do that. You can just, you set up the track and it's got the same, I mean, all my songs pretty much have the same structure. So there's an intro, and then there's the break, which is essentially the verse. And then there's a build up, and then the chorus, which is a drop, and then it repeats, and there's an outro. And pretty much every track, every song that's coming out nowadays is doing the same thing. Unless you're writing trance, and trance is usually intro, bass drop, break, melodic drop, and then outro. Which you can have, obviously you can have more than one jumping. Well, I guess you can call them templates.
Yeah.
And so you can set these up, and it just, I swear it makes things so much faster for me, because I can just get into that one project or that other project. Like I have like one that's like a melodic project, and then one that's like a bassy drop project. And you just like duplicate that file so you don't screw anything up in the original one and save over it by accident. And then open the duplicate, and then you just start. You just go from there. Like what I'll do is I'll open the duplicate, and then I'll rename it something that I'm thinking of at the moment, and then I'll just start writing chords. And that's a completely separate thing. So like you can add in like a whatever piano VST that you have, like Nexus or Contact or something like that. And you just start playing some chords, come up with a cool chord structure, and then you write the melody to that, and then you just start from there. And I swear it has, like, I used to start like from scratch, like a blank, Ableton file, completely blank. I would put the kick would be the first thing to go in there. But now, I mean, I can have a full song done in like a week or two.
Wow.
And it's like you don't really want to change a whole lot of the levels or anything like that, because from the original file that you created, and it sounds good. Like, it already sounds good, and it's so much easier. So all you have to do is worry about the songwriting versus all the technical crap, because it's already taken care of for you because you did it earlier.
Yeah, I like that. It's might have to do that myself, because I'm still at the moment starting from scratch.
Yeah, you do it, man. Do it. I will guarantee you. I freaking you that every like big name does this.
Yeah.
That's how they work. That's how they work. Now, like I said, you're going to be putting in new synths and new patches and stuff like that. So there is going to have to be some technical work. I'm not saying that I don't do any of that, because I do it all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm working on this track right now for Enhanced Music, and I sent it to them, and they're like, "Oh, it sounds great, Noah, but the mix is a little weird." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think the mix is kind of weird," and it's because I started throwing in a lot of different things into the project file, and it sort of screwed up the the levels are off now, and some of the EQs off there, so I have to like go in there and kind of fix it. But more or less, I mean, it's probably like 80% done. And I started working on this on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how you just, like, it's all about time management, really. I think that's really important, because I've got, I don't want to say that I have more going on in my life than the average person.
Well, you are a doctor. I mean, it's a pretty stressful job, surely. Sure.
Well, I mean, you just, like, we all have important things happening, and so I've actually got a full-time job during the day, married, and then I want to have free time where I'm not actually working on like something. I just want to goof off and watch Netflix or play Destiny or something.
Yeah.
So there's got to be time for that too. But yeah, I think it's really important to set yourself up some routines that kind of streamline everything for you. That way it's all just, smooth sailing. It's not, you're not coming up to these roadblocks that you're like, oh man, I wish I could get this bass sounding like this, or I wish I could, why is this, why does this sound so overcompressed? Things like that, because I used to run into those problems. As I said, when I first started out, like taking music seriously, I had no idea what I was doing. And now I think I've just kind of built up these ways of doing things that make it so much easier.
That work together. Yeah. I mean, I used to be like of this mindset that you can't use the same sample in two songs. I don't know where that came from, but a lot of producers subscribe to it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
No, man. Yeah, there's like a lot of rules that people have put like on themselves or on like music production in general, that I'm just like, why? If it sounds good, it sounds good. Okay, so and some people can pull it off and they're really good at it. Like I'm sure you know who Sean Tyas is.
Yes.
Okay, so he's a pretty good friend of mine, and we text each other random tracks every now and then, and like his music is not the kind of music that I would make, and my music is most certainly not the kind of music he would make. And it's funny because we actually did a collab together about 1.5 years ago.
Oh wow!
But we both have he definitely does. Like we've got sort of like an ear for like what might be missing or what sounds good or whatever, and I'll send him stuff. But he's the kind of person that like if he can't create the sound himself, he doesn't want to use it just because it feels like wrong to him. And I guess that's what you're talking about here. But he's the kind of person that can actually figure it out and do it really easily, like because he's just an amazing sound designer. But for me, it's actually it's really difficult. Like if I hear something like in a song and I'm like, oh man, that sounds cool. I want to figure out how to do that. I'm not going to get into Silent or Massive and try and figure it out because unless it's relatively simple. I mean, I'm a relatively good sound designer, but if it's something super complex, man, I'm gonna sample that shit.
Yeah.
Or find something similar like that, similar sounding and kind of get it that way because I think one of the guys from the Chainsmokers said it really well when he was talking about using Nexus. He's like, oh man, people will get real pissed off when producers use Nexus. It's like, it's all just presets, whatever. And he was like, do you want to make sounds or do you want to make songs?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, if something sounds good to you and you can't, like, you're like, oh man, I really don't want to be using this sound again. Add some effects to it or something, or EQ it a little bit differently, and nobody's going to be able to tell, that you're using the exact same patch or the exact same sample. You know what I mean?
And even if they can tell, they don't care. Like I saw a good quote the other day. I can't remember who it's by, and I definitely can't quote it verbatim. But this guy was saying, when people listen to music, they're not listening to your snare drum. They're listening to like the melody, the chord progression, the vocal.
Yes,
that's what sticks out in the song.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you can use any synth you want. You can use the same lead for. Okay, so I'm not going to name names, but there's a guy that I know of that just came out with a song, and it sounds exactly like I could hear it, like same synth, even the same like melody pattern, kind of, exactly the same. And there was actually a couple people that did call him out on that, like on SoundCloud, but who cares? I mean, like it's actually on Sirius XM right now here in the States playing, as the BPM breaker.
Wow.
And it's a great track. Like it's a different vocal. So that's great. Obviously you want to use a different vocal, but the synths are relatively the same. The pattern is very similar to a song that he like this, not like a song that he came out with a few tracks ago. Like it is his last track. So back to back, they sound very, very similar, but still he's doing great,
Yeah.
So obviously nobody cares, or if people do, they're the kinds of people that don't really matter.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to move on in a moment, but I'm so interested in routines. Do you have anything else that you do apart from, starting with these template projects?
Man, I guess I'm really intimately familiar with the way my room sounds and the way my headphones sound. So don't use your studio speakers to only write music. Use them to listen to music too. And by that I mean like spend like maybe 5 or 10 minutes before you start getting into the studio, getting into your project files, and just open up some of your favorite tunes, or something that you might want to be working towards, like a song that you kind of want to write something similar to. Say whatever song, and just listen to that and kind of warm your ears up to the way it sounds. Because if you start, from scratch and you're kind of just, you get in there and all of a sudden you're writing, and you don't really know where the sound should be. You know what I mean? But if you've already kind of like tuned your ears to the way that things should be sounding before you start getting in there, you're going to know immediately, oh, that sounds off, or that needs to be louder, that needs to be softer, that kind of thing. Because you'll have like a reference in your mind as to how things should sound, So that's really helpful. I don't do that all the time, but I should take my own advice and do it all the time. But I definitely recommend doing it all the time. And I guess the reason why I don't do it is just because, I'm kind of used to how it sounds now, so I'm not really too far off. But yeah, if I've been like listening to loud music like on my way home in my car or something like that, it's been really throwing me off. Yeah, I gotta kind of retune myself to the room.
Right, for sure. Now, you just put out a track on Armada with Adam McInnes called The Mutants. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, so the Mutants are it's a collab group. Yeah. So it's me and the Mutants featuring Adam.
Oh, Borrow, yes.
Yeah,
my bad.
It's all good. Yeah, so that one was kind of weird. It's not really. I don't even know if you classify it as EDM because it's super country. We're all from Austin, Texas, and so it kind of like, I guess, like they came up with the idea for the track first. The Mutants did, and Adam and I are pretty close, and so he was like, "Oh, let's talk to Noah," and they kind of brought me in, and then I did like a lot of like sort of the structure of the track. Like they had like, I don't know if you kind of noticed it, but like the clap is not like on the kick. It's like where the hi-hat would be. So it's like boom, 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 like that. And originally they had it like just the clap was like on top of the kick. And I was like, man, I wonder what it would sound like if we moved the clap back an eighth note. And it was where the hi-hat was. And then it kind of just like had this like, sort of like a Melbourne bounce.
That folk vibe as well.
Well, yes, yeah. So it felt, like Melbourne bounce has like the bass,
yeah.
Beat bass. Well, this is kind of sort of like country bounce, because Adam has a very soulful, folksy sort of voice, and so it really came together really well. But I don't know, yeah, I was kind of worried putting it out because it's not really it's not really electronica, and I know that that's kind of like what I'm known for, obviously. I exclusively write electronica, but I guess people are really digging it so far. We haven't had too many negative comments.
Yeah.
It's just kind of an interesting one, I guess. I'm not really sure what to say about it.
How long did it take? Because it's, you're working with quite a few people.
Yeah. So it's the Mutants are two people. Adam, I guess, is technically part of the Mutants. So it's four people, yeah, I guess, working on that track. They gave me basically the guitar part in the drop and the vocals and some of the drums, and then I sort of put together the rest of the track, a lot of the bass, and then just kind of made it bigger and fuller, kind of added some synth sounds. To really finalize the track, it probably took me about 2 weeks or so, maybe a week. And that one went super fast because they sent me all the stems and they all sounded great already. So I didn't have to do a whole lot, but yeah, it came together really fast. We shot a video for it too, which is coming out tomorrow.
Awesome. So, I'll link that in the show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's got some shots from our hometown of Boston. It's an interesting story. I don't want to spoil it. So
sweet. Yeah. Sounds good. Now I want to switch gears almost completely, but
okay.
In your song Down, you have this like kind of soft, mellow intro that builds into like a festival like drop, and there's a huge amount of contrast. I get a lot of questions from people and they say like, how do I, I've come up with my idea, I've come up with my chord progression or my breakdown sorted, but I just can't come up with the drop, or it doesn't match my drop. What advice would you give to producers who struggle with that?
Well, it might be a psychological thing, honestly, because I would say just connect the two with a build. And see what happens, because the track that I was just talking about where that I'm working on right now sort of does the same thing. Like it has a very, very soft sort of break, and then the drop is crazy. It's very loud, very melodic, very big room. And I was thinking to myself the same thing. I was like, you know what? I don't know. Like it goes from from like a 3 to an 11, like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of worried that they wouldn't really like it. And I was like, well, let's just see what they say. So I gave it to Enhance, and they didn't say anything about that.
Huh.
They didn't say anything. And I was like, wow, that was the one thing that I was worried about. And they didn't even mention it. So, it might really just be the fact that you don't think it because you are the producer.
Mm.
So, and that actually is more of a problem than people think. People think, I've written this song, but I don't know. It's just not, it's not cool enough. Well, show it to other people, and maybe it is. Maybe it's awesome, and you just heard it so many times because you're writing.
Yeah.
By the time that you're finished writing a song, by the time I'm finished writing a song, I have probably heard the song at least 800 times.
Yeah.
I've heard that melody. That those first 2 notes. Good God. Just so of course you're tired of it, and of course your ears are kind of like every time you hear it, it's like, oh my God, this thing again. So I think just go for it, and just like, okay, so I guess you can't. Obviously you can't just like connect the two like randomly.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe some advice would be, as the quiet part of the song is kind of progressing into your build-up, have like a riser in there, or some like white noise, like opening up with a filter, just kind of like leading you into like a higher energy part of the song. And that's really all it needs. It's as simple as that. Just add a few little effects here and there that kind of tell the listener that things are progressing in the song. It might, it might feel at first like it's ruining the like romantic sort of feel of the quiet part of the track, but it's sort of necessary. I guess it's kind of a necessary evil. But after you do it and you listen to it a few times, it might sound really good. And that's actually what I did. And they didn't even ask for it, but I did it anyways, and they didn't say anything after that. But I think it sounds better now. So
absolutely.
Just risers and white noise and those kinds of effects really do add a lot to kind of like lead the listener into a higher part of the. That's what builds do, obviously. So you kind of want to build up into the build. And that's what a riser can do for you.
I think one thing I'd mention on top of that is, and this is something I used to struggle with, is I was way too timid with transitions. Like there are songs that go from a quiet, mellow, very romantic part, and then all of a sudden there's this huge impact hit, and it completely switches 180. You can do that. It works. The other thing is that I thought about when you mentioned, you listen to your track 800 times, you start to pick holes in it. The approach I take, and I wonder if you do the same, is I try to work incredibly fast in the beginning so that I can get the arrangement laid out. Because otherwise, you're listening to an 8-bar loop on repeat, and you can just tweak endlessly.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I definitely think that you need to work as fast as possible, and like I said, because I have these sort of these routines in place, that's already kind of like the arrangement of the track is pretty much done for me. Or if I want to change it, it's very easy to just kind of select the whole section that I want to cut or paste or whatever, and just kind of change it out that way. But yeah, I think it is pretty important to work fast, because if you don't get like a good idea on like into your, like basically you don't get a good idea on paper, within like maybe 20 minutes, you kind of start spinning your wheels. But on the other side of that coin, it might take you that long to come up with something good. A lot of people are like, oh man, how do you write your melodies? or how do you do this or how do you do that? But melodies is the one thing that keeps coming up, and I'm like, man, just play some chords, and then just start thinking of stuff that goes along with those chords. Like I mean, you could do it like right now. I mean, you just put some chords together and like just like sing it to yourself, like ba 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 ba. Just stuff like that, and sing it out loud. I think that really helps. And I think a lot of people might feel like, oh man, I don't want to look like a dork, saying to myself or whatever. Yeah, and you're sitting there by yourself.
Yeah.
You're not too cool for yourself. So just sing it out loud, and if you sing it out loud, it really helps because you don't lose it. Like not only are you thinking of it and you're singing it, but you're hearing it too. So a lot of people like will come up with something and then they'll be like, oh my god, I forgot what I came up with, and that kind of helps. Hearing it and singing it and thinking it really helps out. So. Yeah, I mean, it's important to work fast, but sometimes I guess you do have to kind of slow it down, just to kind of wade through the garbage that you might actually be coming up with, because you might actually find a jewel. Spend a little bit more time doing it. But for me, yeah, I get kind of annoyed if I'm working on something and it just isn't working. If you've got one idea and you're working on it, and it sounds like it's forced. Obviously, maybe it wasn't as good an idea as you thought it was.
On that note, do you encounter like writer's block?
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I think as a creative professional, anybody is going to come across writer's block. It's just like coming across a problem, any problem in your life. You just got to work it out. People look for ways to come up with ways to kind of avoid it or like work around it or something like that. But if you can't come up with anything good at the moment, I mean, maybe take a break, take like an hour break, or if you're, really, like you don't have much time, like take a 10-minute break or something. But just take it easy for a little while and come back to it and start working again. Because I mean, a lot of production is really, it's really a job. It's work. It's not all fun and games.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you got to put in the time, and putting in that time means you are going to be running into problems that people in other professions are going to have, and you just got to figure out what you're doing wrong, and then quit doing that and figure something else out. So like with another, again, just going back to the song that I'm writing. I didn't really know what I was going to do with the melody. I started writing to it to a vocal actually that Will Holland from Enhanced sent me, and he's like, he sends me some vocals every now and then, and he's like, hey, do you like any of these? And so I'll pick one or two of them and start writing to those, and then if we come up with something cool, then great. And so this one sounds pretty good, but I didn't really know where I was going to go. And I just, I started humming to myself or saying to myself, and I was like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. And I put down some stuff, and then, one thing leads to another, and you change a few things or add a few things, and all of a sudden it starts sounding cooler and cooler. So it's really just, you got to get into the trenches and just do stuff, man. Just start working, start playing, if you play the piano, start playing, random stuff, chords, singing to yourself. I think that's how the best stuff comes up. There's no real science to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just experimentation.
Yeah, for sure. I've noticed a trend actually with producers who play piano. Maybe it's just me overthinking it, but it always seems like their music is a lot more memorable and well written. So would you recommend that producers who don't play an instrument pick up something like piano?
I think that I guess it depends on what you have going on in your life, because learning how to play an instrument is a really, really big time commitment. Especially if you want to do it right.
Right.
Like if you want to, you can go on YouTube and they'll teach you how to play, some scales and stuff, and you can learn theory, and they're all like, 5-minute videos or 10-minute videos, and you can do one of those every day or something, and in a month, you've learned a lot. But if you want to learn, what it's really like, like finger placement and those kinds of things, like the real technical stuff, I would recommend going to an actual piano teacher or an actual guitar teacher or whatever you want to play, and just learn from them, because there's I tried picking up the guitar and playing, just learning how to do it on YouTube. And I just had so many questions. I had so many questions that I couldn't ask the YouTube teacher,
Yeah.
And so I ended up, going and taking classes, and it was so much better because, it's tailored to you. They'll say, okay, what kind of music do you want to play? What do you want to play other people's songs? What do you want to do? And so it was a lot easier to do it that way. I didn't end up like really taking it on, so I kind of got a very, very rudimentary knowledge of how to play the guitar. But violin, trombone, and piano are more of my thing, and piano definitely. Violin and trombone I haven't played since high school. So it's been a little while, but I guess the lessons stick with you.
Yeah.
But I think to really answer your question, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to learn an instrument as a producer. It's certainly helpful. I'm sure. I say I'm sure because I don't know what it's like not to not know how to play an instrument. So I can't really say, oh yeah, I'm way better than I would be if I wasn't, if I didn't know how to play. But I just don't think that it's absolutely necessary. Because there's plenty of guys out there like Sean Titus. He has no formal music training.
I think Boom, not to interrupt, Boom Jinx as well. I learned. Boom Jinx? Really? Yeah, he made this jazz piece, and I was blown away.
Yeah, that guy can really shred as a producer. Man, wow, that's very surprising to me, because I think he works with Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Who obviously is like the maestro of Hollywood, and that's really surprising to hear. But yeah, no, some of these guys that are just incredibly talented musically have no idea about music theory, or if they do, it's like a DIY schooling. So I can kind of tell what you're saying when you hear like people who have a formal training and who can play an instrument, like their music does sound a little bit more melodic, because a lot of the people that don't have that sort of stuff going on, they make more of like the screechy, like one note, big room stuff,
yeah.
which is cool too. But I guess for guys that are more like melodically minded, that stuff just doesn't resonate as much. And so for me, like, sure, I could go in there and I can make a big room track and, have a big, huge kick and like two notes playing, and that's pretty much it. But it's not the kind of music that I would want to write,
Yeah, absolutely. I had a listener ask a question. They want to know how you process your leads.
How I process my leads?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know if I can answer that. That's wow. I guess. So I'm usually either using Silent or Massive or Nexus. And honestly, more often than not, it's a combination of the three.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's in Ableton. So I've got the glue compressor.
So is that on the group? On the group of bass? Yeah.
So I'll group everything together onto a bus, and then I'll stick the glue on there. And that it's very it's very dependent on what I'm trying to do. So maybe I guess like I wish that listener had like a particular song or something that he wanted me to look at, because then I could talk to him a little bit about it. But
what about Eyes to the Sky?
Eyes to the Sky. Okay, yeah. So let me...
Just because I'm curious myself.
Sure, yeah. Let me pull up the project file here. I'm at my studio right now, so
yep.
Let's see. I might even be missing some of the plugins, because it's funny because Eyes to the Sky is actually a really, 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 really old track that I wrote. I think I was done with it like a year before it actually came out.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because we were actually looking for the right vocalist. So Anna Yvette is the vocalist on there that we went with. And she's amazing. She's super, super talented. Good God, that girl can sing. And she does a lot with Monster Cat, which is an amazing label. But she did this song with a friend of mine, Ken Loy. I think the song is called All You Need Is Love, which I think is also a Beatles song. But it's such a good song. Like she does these like chants, like these like ohs and these like ahs and stuff, and it just sounds so good. And there's very few people that will do that. A lot of the people that do vocals, it's just lyrics. But I think the really standout vocalists, like currently will do a lot of melodic stuff with just like singing vowel sounds.
Yeah, I love that.
That really, really captures my attention, because it sounds a lot like just, I don't know, it's something that like the crowd can get behind and start singing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that obviously that's very important in a live setting. Or even when you're driving, you can like do that in your car. Talk about being a dork, man. So, in fact, that track that I just came out with, I'm sorry, it's still loading the.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Oh man, here we go. Okay, missing 3 VSTs. Okay, I was using Ozone 5 at the time.
Yeah.
Now I'm on Ozone 7 to master, but okay, well that doesn't really matter. All right, so let's see here. Synths. Man, yeah, there's only like 4. Here we go. 4 lead synths. Okay, so on this one, there's like a main pad, silent, and then a kind of lower bassy pad, which is also silent, and then a stab, which is silent. And then there's like a lead sound that's kind of like that typical Melbourne bounce sound. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear it if I play it for you, but let me try. So it's very, very typical. Like who are those guys from Italy that like really capitalized on Melbourne bounce? They're on Spinning now. I can't remember. Shoot. Oh man. Well, anyway, so I think Rehab also uses this a lot.
Yeah.
So this particular sound is pretty popular, but it's like hidden underneath all of the layers, and so you don't really hear it as like it doesn't sound like a Melbourne bounce kind of thing. It just kind of adds a little bit to the sound. So all those synths, like there's just a sidechain compressor and a little bit of EQ. And then on the group, there's an EQ that I'm cutting a little bit, kind of like the mid highs, kind of at around 3,500 kilohertz. And that's just kind of like to cut out a little bit of the screaminess. There's an EQ, and then there's a waves J37 tape emulator, and that's one of my favorite things, honestly. It's very cool. It adds just this little like subtle warmth that is almost imperceptible, but if you like A/B it, like if you turn it off and turn it on while you're listening, you can hear a difference that is just, it's some sort of like black magic, man. It's really cool. I don't know what's going on. I can't explain it, but it just sounds a lot better with it on there. So I'll put that on a lot of my synth groups. I guess it's kind of saturating things. So it sort of acts like a saturator. So you can definitely overdo it. But yeah, if you have like subtle settings, it's going to sound really cool. And that's really important. I think it's an important point right there is never to kind of really overdo things with effects, unless that's what you're going for. Mm-hmm. But if you're trying to go for like a smooth sound, my really kind of go-to idea is just, add very subtle effects to things, and you'll still have the punch of the synth. That's really important, but it'll have that sort of like kind of just a little bit of extra crispiness at the top, or fatness at the bottom. Those kinds of things. It's just really important to do things very, very subtly in a very light manner. For
sure, and if you start with good sounds from the get-go, you shouldn't need to do that much processing.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So, you definitely want to get if you're designing sounds or if you're picking patches or whatnot, you want to have as high quality a sound as possible. So, if you're using samples particularly, people will just find a snare sample and like, okay, it's a snare, I'm going to put it in. You got to have like the right snare. I mean, it's got to have the right amount of punch in the bottom. Like, it's even got like, a lot of people don't do this. A lot of people might though. It's kind of been making the rounds on the forums and stuff. But you want to tune your drums to the key of the song.
Okay.
So like, say you got a snare and it has like this dunk sound like that. Mm-hmm. That dunk sound, you want the rest of the song to also be that kind of sound, because if you got that, like, the dunk sound and then it's like totally off key, it's going to really stand out. It won't sound good in the mix, and you're going to be wondering, you're being like, what the hell is going on? Like, why does everything sound good? But like whenever the snare comes in, it's weird. Well, it's because that's the reason. And same thing with the kick, even.
Interesting.
With the kick and hi-hats, not really, because it's almost like a white noise, so there's no real tuning that needs to be there. But yeah, snare for sure.
What if it's a because I saw Zed post something about this and it kind of made sense. He said if you're using a short kick, it really doesn't matter what key it's in. Because the way a kick works is it goes from a high pitch to a low pitch.
Yeah.
And you can't really discern.
I guess that's definitely sound advice. If you just got the punch of the kick and there's no tail, it doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. In fact, there are specific frequencies that will work better for punchy kicks, just simply because those frequencies have more, like, it hits you in the chest harder.
Yeah.
So I think it's like E to G. Yeah. So like E, F, F sharp, G, and G sharp. Those, if you get a quick kick that's in those keys, it will sound better than a kick that's in like B or C. So something to keep in mind there. But yeah, I think that's a very good piece of advice. Is it doesn't really matter too much if you're just using a really, really short kick,
but definitely if you're using a long kick.
Absolutely.
I would not want to hear a big room track with a kick that's out of key.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, well, I mean, even if it's not a big room track, I mean, if it's a melodic tracks too. I keep going back to this one, but the one that I'm using, in fact, like all my tracks really, and it doesn't have to be like the exact key of the song.
You can use a fifth, can't you?
Yeah, you can use a fifth, or you even just like, whatever your bass notes are. If you've got like a 4-chord progression, any of those 4 notes will work. Now, if it's in the actual key of the track, then it'll probably work best.
Yeah.
But if you're kind of like having a hard time finding a kick that, works well, and you're like, oh man, this one sounds awesome, but it's not exactly the key. If it follows one of those notes in your bass line, or if your chord progression, then I think it'll usually slot in there pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's interesting, tuning the snare though. Maybe I don't use big snares, but I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, my track Follow, I actually tuned this, not only did I tune the snare like from the beginning, but at the end of the second drop, there's like this trap part. So I'll just describe it. So at the end of the second drop, well, at the end of the first drop too, but it does it more in the second one. There is a snare that's in there that actually changes pitch to go along with the chord changes. And I think it like nobody would think, oh man, awesome, that snare's changing with the key. Nobody's going to think that, but I just think it adds a little more magic to it. And it goes along with the song better. If I kept it in the same key, I don't know, maybe it would have sounded just fine, but I think it sounds cooler like that. So it's a little more.
That's a cool little Easter egg.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. I've got 2 more questions before we wrap it up.
Sure.
The first is, do you have any books or resources that have helped you become a better producer? They don't have to be music books necessarily, but just anything.
Sure. So Ozone actually, I recommend using Ozone products. Isotope. Yeah, Isotope products, Ozone 7 in particular. It's an amazing suite for mastering and even just their effects. But the manual to that is incredible. And you don't really think of it. They're just going to tell you how to use their stuff and that's it. No, their manual has a lot of information about compression and why you want to be compressing things, which I think is extremely important. A lot of people are like, I need to compress this because it'll sound cooler.
Oh, dude, that's my pet peeve.
And why would it sound cooler? Do you know what the compressor is doing there to make it sound cooler? No, I mean, I think it's really important, for using any tool that you're gonna any effect or plugin that you're gonna stick on your channel or your bus. You need to know not only how to use it, but why you're using it. Because if there isn't a real reason as to why you're dragging that from your folder onto your your Ableton channel, then you're most likely making a mistake. And throwing that in there. And so their manual, and I read the manual to 6 and 5. I haven't read the 7 one yet because everything is pretty much the same in 7. And there's a few little differences, but it's just they're subtle. But their manual to 5 and 6, they just had so much information about EQ and compression, and they tell it in they sort of write it in a way that is transposable to any other compressor or EQ or maximizer or anything like that. It's they tell you how to use theirs, obviously, but a lot of the controls that they use are very universal. So you can use the lessons that they teach you and apply them to any other EQ or any other compressor or anything else that they are just kind of putting their stamp on. I think so. The manual of that, it's just if you haven't read it, man, go grab it because it's really cool.
They also have I think it's a mixing guide and a mastering guide, like a free PDF.
They do, yeah. So I've read through those. Yeah, those are awesome too. And then they've got a short little. It's not really too short, but it's a good read. It's not really helpful as far as like production goes, but it's just an interesting read. It's like why you want to be using the dither option on mastering, and it's a lot of physics that I like. It's very in depth, and they tell you that from the get go. And so I didn't fully understand everything that they were talking about, honestly, just because there's a lot of engineering, I guess lingo that they were using. But more or less, I mean, it's just an interesting read. I mean, even if you don't fully understand everything about it, it's cool to know that like there's a purpose for this, and a few of the details like are just they're just cool things to know. So not necessarily the first thing that you want to be reading, but if you're interested in just kind of background stuff, and I think it would be a cool read.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, one more question. Let's say you're abducted by aliens, but they let you leave a piece of paper with 3 pieces of advice to upcoming producers. What's on that paper?
Oh, man. I hope they give me a little while to write them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so I guess the first thing I think is really important is you want to have a day job, honestly. And I hate saying that because I don't want people to think that, oh man, Noah's telling me not to follow my dreams. And that's the exact opposite of what I'm saying here. Definitely follow your dreams, but you have to be realistic. Unless you really know what you're doing, and you've met the right people, and those people like you, and they're willing to do you a lot of favors. You aren't going to be making a ton of money in music. You might be able to make a good living. I know plenty of people. You might be one of them. But there's plenty of people out there that do just fine. They don't have any other sort of job. But there are way more people that are not doing well. And they are trying really hard. God bless them. They're like very good, but they're barely making ends meet. Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of kids in high school or college that they're only going there like in their mind at this moment they're going to college or high school. It's as a formality. Because they're going to be the next big DJ. And it's funny, I read all these articles about music and the current state of the industry, and they're like, yeah, kids don't want to be Aerosmith anymore. Kids want to be Armin or Hardwell. They want to be a DJ. They don't want to learn how to play guitar and rock, with 4 of their friends. They want to be up there by themselves, playing tracks, that other people wrote or that they wrote, and have a big light show and throwing their hands in the air and that kind of thing. That's the new, rock star. And so I think it's really important for kids to have these big dreams, but at the same time, you have to realize that there's so few people that really make it big. I mean, they want to be the next Armin. If you think about that here, Armin has been the only Armin. Exactly. For what, like 15, 20 years? Yeah. Something like that. When are you gonna, I mean, I don't want to sound like a jerk when I say this, but it's just, it's hard to see someone like become the next that, like the only guy that I can think of right now that's at that point is Hardwell. It's one guy, So I say, you want to have a day job. It's not because you can't make it, because you certainly can. I think I hate kind of like sounding like I'm bragging here, but I think I'm kind of living proof that you can have both. You can live your dream and you can still have a day job where you're contributing to society and you're being a good human being by providing a service to your community. Which I think is really, really important, because you can contribute to society and be part of the zeitgeist and, contribute musically or artistically or whatever, and that's great. But if you're only playing like, you know, these really small shows, or no shows, and just, you know, just writing music, and you know, you're not really getting signed to the biggest label out there, then you know, it's just kind of something to think about, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely one thing people need to keep in mind is, don't expect to make it huge and not, you know, study and not do good in school.
I have to just tack on to that because
Sure.
I actually agree with that wholeheartedly. And the other thing is, I might catch a bit of flack for saying this, but if you look at the current shelf life of let's say someone who makes it big, like I've seen so many artists kind of fall off the radar, if you will. Yeah. They're still making music, they're still playing the odd gig, but it doesn't last. Like, it doesn't last for everyone forever.
Right. And you know, and like, I mean, you know, again, guys like Armin, guys like Hardwell, Tiesto, and pretty much everybody on Spinnin', like those guys are going to be okay. Once I mean, because once, like, you know, there was hip hop, you know, there was like the boy bands thing in the 90s, there was rock and roll, there was disco, all that stuff. Like, there's always a new thing. And you know, I don't know, I think maybe like the turnover rate is slowing down, because like people have just come out with like every idea they can come out with. I don't know. But you know, there's going to be a time in the future where EDM is second best.
Right.
And
yeah.
something else out there that people are more interested in. Like, it could be, you know, the next big thing could be, God, like polka music or something.
I hope not.
Just, I'm just something totally different, you know? You know, and so, yeah, so if your big plan in life is to be the next big DJ, and you're 16, you know, maybe like have like take some finance courses or something, or something like that. Because, you know, like I said, like for me, like, you know, I'm signed to Enhanced Music. I've signed to Armada Music. I'm playing, you know, some you know, pretty good shows. You know, and my whole life I've studied to be a doctor. Like, you know, from like my parents, because again, my dad's a physician too. And so he like, my mom and my dad are foreigners and are like I'm the first generation American here. And they're so they both come from countries that, you know, like that have this belief that if you're not a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, you are nobody. Expect you're never going to make money, and you might as well kill yourself. It's not that bad, but
I know what you mean.
So I kind of got that sort of vibe. So I've always been headed in that direction. But I'm still, you know, like I showed my dad my newest song yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, this is so great! This is so awesome! I want to show all my friends. I'm so proud of you." And that feels so good.
Yeah,
but you know, like, he's like, and there was a time where I did think, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a doctor, Dad. I want to write music. And we did not talk for probably about 7 or 8 months.
Wow.
And it was a very difficult time.
Yeah.
But you know, I can tell that he is more proud of me for being a doctor than he is proud of me for being a physician. But he's very proud. I'm a musician, but he's very proud of me for being a musician because he himself is a musician, and so he understands. But I guess it's just not as big a deal to him as it is to me. But I just, you know, so I kind of want to say 2 things here, and then we'll get to the other 2.
Yeah. No
so
worries.
This is one. It took a while for me to get out, but and one is so definitely kind of you want to be able to contribute to society in a proper manner, and sort of so educate yourself, stay in school, you know, do well, study hard, but nobody is telling you, and I certainly am not telling you, that you can't chase your dreams, because you most certainly can. There is time for all of that, especially if you're young and if you're not married. So don't go having unprotected sex and having kids, because that's going to eat up time. Dr. Noah says no. But yeah, I think it's definitely important to have a creative outlet. And maybe that's number 2 right there. Is if you are going to study and become, I don't know, whatever, a physicist, you should have a creative outlet. It should be, it's an important thing, I think, because like, as much as, studying gets your analytical side of your mind working, in music and creation, it isn't not even music, but just art in general, whether it's writing a book or, making a movie or writing poetry or whatever, that creative side of your mind is just as important. But I guess that's not really a number 2.
Well, I get it. I mean, I think there's a misunderstanding. People think you can only do one or the other. If I have a job, I won't be able to make music successfully.
Right.
But I mean, you're living proof, and so many other people do the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know what? You were talking to James from Karanda. I listened to that podcast, and man, he and I go back a long way.
Yeah.
I did a remix for him for Marcus Schultz's label back in like 2010, I think, something that. Yeah, and it's funny because we like Marcus heard another remix that I did for another label, and he played it on his show, and he was like, "Yeah, he contacted me, and he was like, I want you on my label." And I was, and this was when I was like really just starting out, starting to like not starting out, but starting to take music seriously. And I was like blown away. That was like the biggest deal in my life.
Yeah.
That's going on. And I remember it happening because I was in school, and I was on my laptop, and I was talking to him like via chat through his phone. I was like my mind was like exploding while my professor was teaching us, and I was like, holy, but so me and James go back a long way, and so I did a remix for him, and it was really cool. It's this song called On Hold, featuring David Call, who's another friend of mine who I actually met before James, which is funny enough. So small world there.
Yeah.
But I think I lost my train of thought here.
That's cool.
Sorry, it's so tangential.
We were just talking about having music as well as a job, and then
I'm sorry. Okay, so James also he's got a full-time job, and he writes tremendous music.
Oh yeah.
He just got signed to Raphael Frost's label, so he's doing real well for himself. He's got a full-time job. I mean, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do both. And I think it's important to do both. So,
I mean, the worst thing is trying to make music under stress. And if you're under financial stress, you're not going to be that creative.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man. And okay, so that can be number 2. Because you need a sort of financial foundation to create music, because you need to have good quality hardware. And I'm not talking about okay, and we'll get into number 3 in a second here, because I've got one. Yeah. But I'm not talking about like hardware synths or whatever. But like you need a relatively good computer. You need definitely spend a good amount of your budget on monitors. And I will say that the monitors that I have, I recommend to everybody. They are the JBL 43 28s. I think that's them. They have this thing where there's this room mode correction software that's built into the speaker. If you press it and you leave the room, you set up this like mic that comes with the speaker system that you like put it where your head would be, like sitting at your desk, and you hit it and then leave the room, and it makes this like weird like almost like chirping, sort of like modern talking sound. And it's basically testing every frequency in the hearing in the audible spectrum, and then it tunes itself to the room. The system tunes itself to the room. And I think that is just so incredible, because then you don't have to worry too much about, oh, is my room shaped weird? Or is it, do I have enough, acoustic treatment, that kind of stuff? It's all taken care of for you. So these, and the speakers come in a 2-pack. And I think that they're like $1,500 or something like that. Which I know is pretty steep. Especially if somebody's just starting out. But I mean, if you've got the funds, these speakers are a killer.
So JBL 4328?
Yes.
Cool.
And then there's a sub that's not necessary, but I got it. There's a sub, and they recommend using 2 subs, but I think my room's pretty small. And
2 subs, that's interesting.
Yeah. You just kind of, because unless you can put the sub like right in front of yourself, it can sound a little weird because the bass is going to from one side, but even if you got it at a low volume, the sub basically just fills up the entire room. So if you kind of just like try and like forget about the fact that the bass is coming from one side, after a while you kind of get used to it and it just sort of sounds fine. Yeah. So, but they say using 2 subs, like stereo subs, it just works better that way. You can have a sub on either end of your desk. And it sounds more natural. But that's the JBL 4312 SP.
Okay, cool.
So it's a very good system there. So I think, yeah, like having that financial ability to make those purchases. I mean, it's not going to be coming from music if you're if you're just starting out.
Exactly.
I mean, unless you're teaching music, which is great, and that's a job in and of itself. So
Absolutely.
So kudos to those people who do that, because I think that's really important, teaching the next generation of musicians. But number 3 is do not follow, this people say that hardware is just the best. Like using a hardware stand, you're going to get the baddest sound. It's going to sound so cool. Hell, man, you don't need that crap. I don't have a single piece of hardware. Not a single one. And I make some pretty good music. And I know like plenty of guys like Tritonal, Dave Reed, he and I are really good friends, and I'll go over to the studio every now and then. 0 synthesizers. Or no, they got 1, but they never use it. Yeah. They've got, I think it's a Virus or something like that. And I've never seen the guys use it. They've got all software synths, and that's all you need, man. Like these hardware synthesizer guys, they've got a lot of money because of, that was the only way that you could buy, stuff. Or that was the only way that you could do stuff, was having a hardware synth maybe like 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. And so you had to, and they could charge whatever they wanted. So they're still charging like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000.
That's insane, man.
I'm like, what? Why? I can buy, like complete 10 for whatever, like $500 right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's with like anything I could possibly ever need. Like I don't need to buy anything else. I do, because there's other stuff that's cool out there that they don't come with. But you don't have to buy anything else. $500. That's it. You're done. You're set. So I think these guys really market themselves well, and kind of like have positioned themselves as well, because a lot of the older guys that came from the era where that was the only thing that they had available, they bought those, and people look to them for sound advice. And they're giving the advice. They're like, yeah, hardware's awesome. It's the best.
It's the same as these, and I had some experience when I DJ'd a fair bit in the past, but the vinyl only DJs, the anti-CD DJ, and it's just like, come on, man. Like,
so I learned how to DJ on vinyl, and that's it's cool.
Likewise.
Vinyl's like magic. I mean, like, you don't even need electricity. You run the record through, and you listen closely, and you can hear the whole song. That's amazing. But man, okay, here is an analogy. Would you want to have surgery on your eyes with a physician that is using a knife, or do you want to have a surgery on your eyes with a physician that's using a laser? What sounds better?
The laser.
Obviously. Why? You don't know. Because it just sounds better. You don't want some guy cutting.
It's more modern. Like, it's obviously more refined and so on.
Exactly. So, it makes a finer incision. You heal up faster. To tell you the truth, it does, like, so. Okay, so I don't know if I'm getting too far away from music here, but if you have, whether you have bladed surgery or laser surgery, in terms of certain surgeries like cataract surgery, the visual outcome is exactly the same.
Right. Yeah.
There's no difference. It's just the heal time takes a little bit longer with the blade. So it's not really that different. But you want to have the most advanced technology available to you. I mean, you only have two eyes. Well, it's the same thing with DJing. I mean, like, do you want to, like, well, first of all, nobody's even going to care. Like, do you, I mean, like, if you go to a club and you see a guy behind the decks, are you going to be like, oh, fuck that guy, he's playing on CDs? What a loser. Nobody says that. So it's really only important to the vinyl guys who are the purists, and like they're like, yeah, I mean,
they only play techno.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, guys like that, I think, like, a lot of them have, like, come around. Like, I don't know if Carl Cox was ever like this. I know he was a huge vinyl guy.
Yeah.
But now, we're at the digital age. Like, he embraced it. He's laptop DJ now.
Yeah, exactly.
Carl Cox. So, like, that's like saying, I don't know. It's just, who are these guys to question, what's better when a guy like Carl Cox is embracing the new technology? So yeah, I think that's just silliness.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's good. It's a very good piece of advice. Don't waste money on stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's gonna. I mean, you could just, if you've got the kind of money to buy, a Moog, whatever, $3,400 synthesizer, spend it on your speakers, man. Don't get that synthesizer. Spend it on your speakers. Your ears are going to thank you. Your music's going to thank you, and your fans are going to thank you. Because you might not be able to get that really analog sounding, fat, super cool sound, that you could get from the Moog, but nobody is going to know. Nobody's going to tell the difference. I can't tell you. I can't go back and say, you show me one song that was with a hardware synthesizer and one that was without. I guarantee you I will not be able to tell.
Yeah, neither.
So, because everything comes out in MP3 format anyway, so you lose a little bit of quality anyway. So it's all going to get rendered down into, 320 kilobit bytes per second or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's not going to matter.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Save your money, kids.
Well, no, this has been a fantastic interview. Thanks heaps for coming on. And finally, where can people find you online? Do you have a Twitter handle or Facebook?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and SoundCloud with just @Noah Neiman. And then this guy, man, Noah Neiman. There's this dude that's a trainer and has his own TV show out in the US, and his name's Noah Neiman. And he actually asked me if he could have my Twitter handle, and I was like, no, man. But anyway, I mean, he's a cool guy, But so he's got facebook.com/Noah Neiman.
Oh, okay.
So I gotta go facebook.com/Noah Neiman Music. That's where you can find me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
all right, man.